Hi, everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Amazing Mindset Chat Room. And this one is is kind of exciting for me in a sort of in a couple of ways. Not only because I have a very interesting guest on board in David Onigbanjo, who we shall meet in a second. But also because there's kind of trepidation that goes with this particular podcast, because it may well be the first video podcast I do. I mean, it will come out audio as all the others have done since July of 24. But in having a chat with my guest, David, today, just last week, we were talking about a subject called having a go. Okay. So what came out of it was, well, I've been thinking about doing video podcasts for a while because I think it's the next step. And so at the end of having a conversation about having a go, I just said, David, shall we? And he's going, yeah, have a go. Yeah, have a go. So I'm having a go on a subject of having a go. And I'm hoping that this particular episode will end up on a YouTube channel dedicated to Amazing Mindset, and will be followed by all sorts of other videos as well. So it's kind of exciting, and also scary, you know. So I had to put a nice shirt on, and because normally I could be stark naked really if I wanted to, you know, on the audio ones, because nobody can see anybody. But so you know, I've washed my face and had a shave, put a nice shirt on, as we say. And so now I'm going to welcome David Onigbanjo. David, welcome to the Amazing Mindset Chat Room.
Thanks, Jed, and thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, well, it's you absolutely had to be invited to this. We met on what some people have already been introduced to. If you've listened to my chat with Lynn Brannigan, you'll have heard me talking about the bite-sized breather, which comes out on a Wednesday morning, and we just sit around and have a chat for half an hour. I'll put the link up again for the bite-sized breather when I do the description for this video, just in case anybody hasn't come across it before. It's just a little meeting, isn't it, on a Wednesday morning between 10:30 and 11, and you just meet people you've never met before, and you don't have to say anything, but you can just sort of join in, and it's interesting, and you meet lots of interesting people. So I've met David through just going on this little chat, and we've had some interesting discussions since, you know. So yeah, it's great to have you on board, David. And what interests me, first of all, about you is that I believe you spent most of your childhood in Halifax, in Yorkshire.
That's correct.
Well, Halifax. Yes. Now, the only thing I know about Halifax is, or I don't know much about Halifax at all, actually. I don't think I've ever been to Halifax, but Yorkshire, I know an awful lot of people from Yorkshire through my job and stuff. And everyone I've met from Yorkshire is very, very proud to be a Yorkshireman or a Yorkshire person. Very proud. All the way from, I mean, I've been up to, from Kirby Moorside, up at the top there, down through a place called Blubberhouses. You might have heard of Blubberhouses, and that's near Skipton and on the way to Harrogate. And then I used to do a gig in Guiseley through a friend called Alan Green, and got friends in Bramham, all the Brammers in Bramham, friends in Pocklington. I've got a mate who runs a piano shop called the Piano Man in Leeds. So if anybody wants a piano discount, let me know. I've got friends in Doncaster, Barnsley, and down as far as Horbury near Wakefield. And yeah, and if this does come out as a video, the next bit is for anyone watching the video, because I've got a present from the people from Horbury, and it's this. Chopanel last 70. That was my last birthday present. So thanks, guys, for that. Thought I'd introduce that on the because we're talking Yorkshire, and also recently I've just been I just had a message that Nicky Barmby, who is from Kingston upon Hull originally, great old footballer Nicky Barmby, is going to join me on a future podcast. So that's exciting. So yeah. So Yorkshire, are you proud to be a Yorkshireman then?
Yes, absolutely. I am, yes, and you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's God's country," and
Yes.
and I think that's how folk from Yorkshire believe. You know, they see it. It's God's country. Beautiful.
Yeah, somebody once said to me, because I was sort of welcoming people one evening to the music where I was, and I said, and something about England and Yorkshire, and somebody said to me, no, 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 no. Yorkshire isn't in England. England is in Yorkshire. So like, what was more important? So that was really funny. So what do you think is it? What do you think it is that gives Yorkshire people this pride? Do you know where that might come from?
Um, I'm not too sure. There's a massive sense of community. Um, you know, people look out for each other. People speak to each other. There's a built-in respect for each other. And I remember many years ago, when I was 18, I joined the Navy, and I ended up in Plymouth. And what shocked me, because it was my first real long-term stint away from Yorkshire, was just how rude some people were, and how the lack of consideration, and they just weren't polite to each other. Now, I didn't think that me and my mates were really polite, but there were certain things that you expect in treating each other right. You know, if you meet somebody for the first time, um, there are things that you would and wouldn't do. And I couldn't believe that there were all these people. It just seemed so. I was like, that's really quite rude. And it used to get my back up. Um, so, looking at it the other way around, I just think that there's a certain level of respect that people have for each other, and they treat each other a certain way in, you know, in Yorkshire that may be different to other places.
Mm. Yeah, because if you sort of study the country, it would be interesting to find out where people have this pride. You know, there's a certain, I mean, there are certain areas in Lancashire where you have the same thing, of course,
Yes, yeah,
and you know, just across the Pennines. Um, I think I remember the first time I moved from Liverpool to down to Gloucester, where I had a job, and I was quite taken aback by how it's not the word is not unfriendly, right? There's nothing unfriendly. It's just the way, I think you just touched on it there, the way that you would have been with your mates, if you like, and how people would have responded. Like if somebody had come from Gloucester to Liverpool, right? And I'd taken this person out, if we were out with the lads and we were having a beer somewhere, go to the pub. Well, this person would have been um, kind of taken as a special guest, so to speak. Everybody would have want to know where he's from, you know, everything about the person, and also welcomed. And the guy would not have bought a drink all
yeah,
night. Now, that would be what you would have had in Yorkshire, I'm sure.
yeah,
By the way, apologies to anybody from Plymouth who thinks it's anything to do with Plymouth people. It's not. It's just the different areas. Okay, so yeah, so there's certain places where it's just not done the same, is it? It's just that's all it is really. But in Yorkshire, yeah, there's a huge pride, and it's fantastic. It really is. There's nothing, you know, that they're yeah, great. So anyway, so you grew up in near Halifax, yeah?
Yeah, in Halifax, I grew up there.
Right,
All my school time, and yeah, I was a Halifax boy.
right. So, you know, when we were having a discussion the other day, can you remember how we started talking about having a go? What was it?
Yes,
Was it something to do with you being a young lad and a paper round or something we were talking about you at?
yes, I found that I wanted some spending money, and there wasn't spare money sloshing around. So it was a case of get a job and do something to earn some money. And one of my friends, he had he had this paper round, and it was he went to the Halifax Evening Courier offices, and round the side, you could go in there, and there was all these paper boys, and it was on a Saturday only, and it was after all the football had finished. They would print a thing called the Green Final, and it'd have all the results in all the scores and some sports news. And all these lads had paper bags, and they were being given X number of papers to go off and deliver on their different rounds. And my friend said to me, "Oh, they're always looking for people, so come along." And I thought, okay, I've got nothing to lose, so
I'll have a go.
I'll give it a go, yeah.
Yeah, give it a go. Yeah.
And I turned up, and the bloke that was running it said to me, "Have you done this before?" I said, "No." And he just said to me, "Well, we'll give you some papers. We've got your name and address. We'll give you some papers, and what you sell, you keep this amount of, and we take the rest. So basically it's on commission." And I said, "What do I do?" And he said, "Oh, right." He said, "Where do you live?" And then he told me, "Get off the bus at this particular point, one end of where you live, and walk up and down the streets shouting Green Final. And if anybody buys a paper from you, take a note of their address and ask them, do you want one next week? Because I'll be back next week." And just do that. And I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose, so I gave it a go. And I did. And I built quite a big round. And so much so that I couldn't carry all the papers. And I had to employ my mates to come and help me. So there's a little gang of us. I'd be 11, 12. And some of my mates were a year or two younger than me. So you've got all these kind of young lads who look like bandits with the twin paper bags. And we'd go around the streets delivering the papers to the people that wanted them, and drumming up more customers. There's a general hospital on the route, so we'd go in there and sell the papers to visitors. So we'd do the round of the wards first and sell the papers to the patients, and then outside all the visitors would be coming in, and we'd sell them one. They'd probably buy them for the guys that were inside. So they'd have two papers. But yeah, and by having a go and being open to just following the instructions on the tin, it worked. It worked really well.
Yeah. So would you say that this has been something you've been able to do throughout your years, is to kind of not be afraid to have a go at stuff? Would you say that's one of
Yes.
your
Yeah.
pluses? Yeah.
Try things out.
Try things out. Yeah. Because I was thinking, after we'd spoken, yeah, maybe there isn't the opportunity these days for that sort of thing to occur. But do you think, though, that for a number of people, they find it difficult to have a go
Yeah.
at something maybe they've never done before or whatever, because of a kind of a fear of failure or being made a fool, or they'll think they're being, somebody will say, "Oh, look at them, or look what they're doing, or listen to what they're saying." Or do you think that's something that you managed to avoid, and you've just gone, "Well, I'm going to do it anyway, and I don't care what other people say or whatever"?
Now, Yes, absolutely. And then I was driven by, when I was younger, I was driven by curiosity, and I wanted to try different things out. Um, then I entered a, corporate career, and there, you know, failure wasn't treated as an experiment or a learning opportunity. It could be career ending if you didn't do certain things. So there's an element of fear around that. But I think one of the biggest fears is being judged by people that you might know. And I see that often as an exec coach. People are limiting themselves for fear of judgment. And it wasn't until I kind of got straight in my head, nobody cares. The person that's holding me back from not trying things out and not doing things is me, because I'm imagining that people are interested in what I'm doing. They're paying so much attention to me that they judge me for trying this out. Nobody cares. They don't care what I'm doing. So when you get nobody cares, they honestly don't, it opens the doors for you to be able to try many, many things and not be afraid of judgment. And those people, if they are your friends, if one or two of them judge you, are they really your friends? So it's one life. We have to live it as if we're only here once, I think, and not be afraid of trying things out and having a go at different things and experiences.
Yeah, I'd say difficulty, in the sort of the tender years of teens, where you find people, poor kids, who are going, oh, no, and they do because of peer pressure.
Yeah,
they're scared of doing stuff that we can sort of see now as like, well, we were daft for not doing that because, and you can sort of regret it in later years. But it is difficult for them, isn't it?
it's extremely difficult for teens. Besides having all the hormonal changes and all the peer pressure, etc., they're trying to find out where they fit in, the society or the community that they're in. There's the added burden now of social media, being bombarded with so much data. I remember, some of my kids, they'd have a phone and they would judge the time it took for friends to respond to them. So if they message somebody, if they don't get an immediate response, then, oh, somebody's fallen out with me. It's reading things into, all sorts of everyday activities. It must be really difficult nowadays to be able to cope with all of that and still find your way.
Yes, I think that it's my opinion of that is that many of the younger generation will be will be very confused,
yeah,
as they're growing up as to where they might fit or which steps to take or that sort of thing. And yeah, I do feel for them, and but this discussion of social media having a massive impact on everyone in life is coming to the fore in most of the conversations I'm having. Even when I was talking with the likes of the old Liverpool player Phil Thompson, and he mentioned, he felt for the young players today who are hitting the big time at young years,
yeah,
because he said they can't go anywhere. Well, they can, but they'll have everyone videoing them everywhere
yes,
they go. For what reason, goodness only knows. But it's a thing of the moment to kind of not experience what's happening for yourself, but to video it.
yes.
I notice this all the time. And no more so than when there's a firework display outside of where I work, like there was the other night. And people's immediate reaction Now, years ago, the immediate reaction would have been, oh, let's head for the door and go and have a look at them. But now, the immediate reaction now is let's get the phone out and video it. For what reason? I've no idea, because you can. There's loads of great firework videos on YouTube. You know, from the New Year in Australia or whatever. Or I once saw an absolutely brilliant firework display on the River Rhine at a place called Koblenz. And
Wow.
once a year they have what they call the Rhine in Flames. And I happened to be doing some singing on a riverboat. And we stopped in Koblenz the night of the Night in Flames, the Rhine in Flames, the Rhine in Flames. And it's a choreographed firework display to music. It's unbelievable. How on earth they would rehearse it, I absolutely don't know, because it would take a lot of gunpowder to do that. But it was absolutely tremendous. But going back to what I was saying, people's immediate reaction these days for everything is to either take a photograph of it or take a video of it.
Yeah.
You know. Now, I'm not one of these people who takes photographs of food when I go to a restaurant, but I know an awful lot of people who do.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of like, yes.
It's
But you know, going back to your having a go, do you think that we are in some ways conditioned, or conditioned is the word I'm looking for, into thinking it's either not a good idea, or it's there's something that gets in the way that we're that's instilled in us? I'm not sure.
I honestly think it is, yeah. You know, so we are conditioned as children the whole time, you know, so from parents, from authority figures like teachers and others, and it could be relatives, you know, but adults mainly. That's where we learn about being part of a society. And so there are rules put in place, and we take those as kids and we learn from them. And then things that are said to us about, you know, how capable we might be at something. Oh, you're not very good at this, but you're better at that. Or so and so shy, or you know, all these things, and we soak them up like a sponge, and they start to form what are known as life scripts. You know, so these things play in our subconscious. So when we're doing things, we are telling ourselves, "Oh, remember, you are this, or you're like that." And I think this is where a lot of the things that hold people back come from. So we literally do put barriers in our own way, because, as we know, you get older, and you know, we're told if you work hard, rewards will come your way. You know, if you're good things will come your way, and all that type of stuff, which gives or can give this impression that life's fair and there's a balance. So you work hard and you are rewarded accordingly. And then at some point, you realize that doesn't happen. Somebody said that, but is it true? Is life fair and balanced, or is it not? And if it's not, yet we believe it should be because that's part of our life scripts, we've got more confusion going on. We're upset, we've been let down. You know, I've been good, I'm working hard, yet I'm struggling because where's my payback? And so I do think it's early programming that can set us up to be really frustrated as we get older. We might start to lose confidence in it must be me then. You know, I might either not working hard enough, or you know, I'm not trying hard enough, or I'm not being good enough. To who's judging that, you know? So I've come to a point where I believe that a lot comes from us, You know, it's the rewards are within, not the external rewards that we perhaps led to believe. So I think doing good things, being good and working hard actually make me feel better,
Yes.
but they
Yes.
don't necessarily generate,
No.
riches and rewards from
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Yeah. 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 It comes from within.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. I think as you get older, I mean, I've spoken to people who've been very successful in their businesses and stuff, and um, they've bought all the things they can possibly buy, and when they get to a certain point in their life, they go, well, actually, they don't really give me satisfaction anymore.
Yeah.
Um, I needed them at the time for some reason or other, because maybe I don't know, but they realize that the happiness or the satisfaction or the most important things in life come from inside. Um, yeah, you ask any granddad, if he'd rather have a hug from his grandchild or a or a brand new Rolex, I'm sure that there'd be I think the little one would win every time,
Yes.
or most times.
No, I think you're right. And there was a book, I've forgotten the title of it, but it's basically um, the premise is if you're looking to be happy, if you're searching for happiness, and people are asking, "Are you happy?" You're probably not finding it. Seeking to be happy all the time. However, if you take time to notice moments of joy, however small, they kind of compound. So you notice things. So you go out for a walk. You can be really joyful out on a lovely day in nature, walking about and noticing
Mm.
things, and they add up to happiness. You can suddenly stop and think, you know what, that's made me really happy. I went for a walk this week. I've done this. I shared that. Um, we had a good interaction in Tesco's, or there are other supermarkets I know, but um,
Yeah, good
it's
advert.
it's those type of things added together that I believe make you happy. So perhaps searching for small moments of joy is more powerful than seeking the elusive happiness. Because if you keep
Mm.
asking yourself, "Am I happy?" I'm guessing the answer probably is no.
Mm. Going back to having a go,
Yeah.
do you you do a lot of work with uh, business execs and things like that, don't you, these days?
Yes.
Kind of in a coaching capacity. So these people have probably in their past had a go,
Mhm.
been quite successful. Do you find that they reach a point, or they can get to a stage in their business lives where this whole they kind of can't go any further because they can't have a go at something else or change or something? There's still that sort of, there's a brick wall in the way of them still having a go at something or trying something out or change in some way. Do you find that in your work today?
Yes. I find that sometimes people have got so busy they've forgotten where they were heading or what they wanted, and so after their career has been on a great trajectory, they've been successful, and they find themselves in a place where all of their time is sucked into this work or this the business that they've got. Head down, working hard. They blink and 3 years have gone by. There's been no movement. there's a fear of being left behind, especially nowadays with this bombardment of data and information.
Mm-hmm.
So where do they start? Then there's uncertainty. Uncertainty can set in. Am I becoming a dinosaur? What I'm going to rely on to get back on track, I'm going to rely on the things I've always done. Yet the context may have changed. So the things I've always done don't bear the same results. So I work to get clarity. So where are you now and how did you get here? So recognizing, the context has changed, but perhaps I've not changed alongside the context. Then what is it you really want? Because at different stages, we all want different things. And so what you wanted 10 years ago, is that still relevant? Is that still what you're aiming for? Or what do you want now? And that's not just work, that's work and life, that's the whole you. And then if that's what you really want, let's map out how to get there. So it gives a focus and ditch the noise. You don't need to know everything. Don't have the fear of missing out if you don't get that message or that email. Let's move forward and concentrate and prioritize what gets you to where you want to be. And I think that clarity and that confidence to block out some of this stuff and move forward then propels them towards where they want to be. And that could change in the future, but right now, this is the direction of travel. And these are the checkpoints that help you to see, am I still heading where I want to go, or am I being distracted by more of the noise?
That's right. Coping with change, basically, isn't it?
Yeah. And the having a go bit is often the big changes can be a series of small steps. And those small steps could be little experiments. So, actually today, I feel as though I've lost my mojo. Today, I'm going to do this or try this and see what the response is with my team or see how I feel about it. And so if you treat it as an experiment, you can treat it as a game, but those experiments build on each other. So for example, if you feel overwhelmed and you're in charge of a large team and you go into work, you can't do with the noise, you're already under pressure by the time you get to the office. You march through the office to the end, to your desk or to your room and crack on with stuff. What signal does that send to your team? The ones you just walk past, So an experiment could be, it will take me 2 minutes, but I'm going to say good morning to everybody as I walk through. 2 minutes means nothing in my day. However, it sends a signal to them that I actually do care that I've got a team and I want to say good morning to you. But what do you get back from that? You get a good morning, you get this, that, and the other, and the atmosphere may change. So build on that experiment and do something else. It builds confidence, and people will be willing or more willing to have a go at things that they've either forgotten to do, stopped doing, or never did in the first place.
Yeah, great. So you can even have a go in the later years of life. Just have a go. Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? I just wish that um, the younger ones could somehow release the fear and
Yes.
and just have a little bit more of a go at stuff without feeling like somebody's watching or somebody's listening or somebody's saying something. But like you said before, what's it really interesting is that it comes from inside you. Like if somebody ever says, "Oh, he probably thinks that I'm a wally."
Yeah.
He probably thinks,
Yes.
well, that you're working on probability and somebody else's thought process, which you've got no idea about. He probably thinks I'm a wally. Well, it's you telling yourself, I'm being a bit of a wally here. So no one is going to think that. But yeah, it's a really interesting one. But if people can just let go a little bit,
Yeah,
but it's not. But you know, as we said before, in the younger years, that really isn't so easy. You know, as oldies, or older ones, um,
absolutely. I used to
we can let go
mentor.
a little easier. Yeah.
I used to mentor school kids, um, and they'd be 14, 15 years old, and we'd go in and mentor a class, like year groups at a time. And I would say, what do you want to be? You know, what career are you aiming for? Which some people would disagree with that question at that age, but um, they most of the boys would say, "Oh, I'm going to be a footballer, professional footballer." And I'd be like, "Okay, are you good at football?" Yeah, yeah, I'm not too bad. And I'd say, "Well, is there anybody here who's really good at football?" And often they'd point all the lads would point to this one boy in the corner. And they'd say, "Oh, and you're going to be a footballer when you're older." Oh yeah, and they were tied to a a major football club on their apprenticeship scheme or their youth, young lad scheme, and the others could kick a ball around the playground. So I wouldn't turn around and say, "Get real." I would turn around and say, "Okay, being a professional footballer, it's it's a tough road. It's there's a lot of competition, etc. So what else have you got in your back pocket just in case?" So that's what you want to do, but what other things have you thought about? But I just found it interesting that I think one of them may have said that, and the others clearly, most of them wouldn't have had a clue. I know I didn't at that age, but it was footballer. And now my wife works in a school, and I said, if I asked that question to a class in your school, what would it be? And she said, without a doubt, they'd all just say, I want to be an influencer.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, and so the context has changed. And I think some years ago, there was a program of work by the government. They were trying to get more role models for, it was aimed at young black boys, actually, who in London, because traditionally they were a group of people that had a lot of absent fathers. And so they wanted more role models, but they didn't want superstars, footballers, actors. They wanted bus drivers, teachers, plumbers, people that were going out and doing normal jobs or everyday jobs and bringing up a family and, all working and working hard together to show that that's actually that's good. These are role models. They're not that you're not a loser if you are a postman or police officer, because in the eyes of some of these young boys, unless you were a business owner with a flash car, or you were a footballer again with a flash car or whatever, then you were just you were a loser. So they wanted to try and turn that around, which I found that really interesting. But then when you got below the surface and you spent time with these boys, there was lots of insecurity, you know, um, and they would then start telling you what their dreams were and what they wanted for their futures and stuff. It didn't involve necessarily naming a profession or a job, but they had aspiration. They just couldn't articulate it.
Mm. Yeah. So coming back to having a go, any insecurities are going to prevent anyone from having a go at anything. I mean,
Yeah,
but there are limitations. I mean, we've got to take that into account as well. Because when I was discussing the title of having a go with my wife, she said, "Well, of course, if you just bumped into your local trapeze artist." And they just said, "Well, have a go." You'd go, "Whoa, well, actually, I think that's a bit far-fetched." Or tightrope walker across the Grand Canyon. No, we wouldn't have a go at that. But it's interesting. So um, the whole fascination of this is that um, for me, I'm having a go.
Yes.
And I'm not frightened of the consequences of this not working as a, let's say I try to put this video up onto my my new YouTube channel when it is up and running, and it just doesn't work for some reason. I've done something wrong or I've made a mistake. I'm not scared of that happening. In
Yes.
fact, it might do me good if it happens. So I'm at the point where I go, well, actually, if I make a mistake, it's a learning curve for me. But you
Yeah.
can't say that. At 13, I wouldn't have thought that. I'd have
No.
gone, oh, I'm not doing that in case I make a mistake. Because a lot of the stuff that we're sort of given in schools is mistakes ain't too good, but mistakes are good.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel for some kids as well who always get gold stars, 10 out of 10, A star this, A star that. Because if you are in that category and that's all you ever achieve, I don't know how you're going to feel the day you get an A minus, or there's a minus there, or there's a B, or there's a 8.5 instead of a 10, or a 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's gonna, I don't know, psychologically, that's going to hit hard unless you
Absolutely.
have been well educated into, don't forget, you know, somebody for every 10 out of 10, there's a 1 out of 10 as well, you know, and for every team that plays in the league, there'll be one that finishes top and there'll be one that finishes bottom. So that's life, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This
And
is
I think the
back to
I
the
think
Ron
the
Atkinson view. That's life. Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the having a go front, I think if we can treat more things, try things out, experience things, that's probably more what I'm attuned to, and experimenting with different things. Then it's about discovery and exploring, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than failure,
Yeah.
it's, oh, I wonder what this is like.
Mm.
I'm going to try it. So with the tightrope, yes, you wouldn't be jumping on the tightrope across the Grand Canyon, but perhaps if you're interested, there could be something that's set up 6 inches off the ground that
Mm.
you can have a go
Yeah.
on. That's
Yeah.
quite safe. It's a small experiment,
Yeah.
you know, and see whether you like things or not. Same with the
Mm.
trapeze, um, when we used to have unstructured play as kids, and you were kind of left to it, and you go off down the playground or the rec. There's all sorts of people used to do,
Mm.
and you'd be hanging off the bars and
Yeah. Yeah.
trying this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
As an adult, perhaps less so, because
Yeah.
you'd be wondering what
Not
people are
quite as
looking at me.
not quite as lithe as you used to be. No, no.
But why not? If you walk nowadays, we've got these open parks with some places have got exercise machines
Mm.
and other things. Why not have a hang
Yeah.
off the bars and things?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does you good.
Yeah. Because you could always go see your chiropractor the next day. It's okay. No, but I was thinking, that we're going to have to finish in a second, David, I'm afraid, because we're
Yes.
running out of time. But I was just thinking at that moment, talking of the tightrope walker, right? There would have been a point in his tightrope walking career where he's had to have a go.
Yeah.
I think I'll just have a go.
Yeah.
There may well have been a net underneath to start with, but there would have been a point where he has to have a go.
Yeah.
And had he not had a go, he would never have been the tightrope walker.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, we don't all have to take those risks going across Grand Canyons on a tightrope, but I just think what you said is really is great, because yeah, treat stuff as more of an experience. Can we teach this to the young ones? I'm not sure, but we could probably have a go.
Yes, we could have a go.
We could have a go. And what would we have to lose? I'm not really sure. David, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm very glad that I met you on BSB, on the bite-sized breather. And I'll see you on there again sometime. And I hope some of the people who are watching this and listening to this, should you only be listening in audio, you'll have missed the mug, which is very Yorkshire-ish. You'd have missed David's big smile. But if you're only listening on audio, thanks for listening. And if you're watching this on a YouTube channel, then it's worked. We had a go, and yeah, very happy. So listen, David, thank you once again. And I'll see you soon. And
Yes.
all the people who are watching, look forward to some more chat rooms. I've got some really interesting characters coming on board. Some you've heard of. I met Jason Wilcox, who's now the director of football at Manchester United. And he's agreed to come on and have a chat. That'll be interesting. Bev Bevan, the guy, the drummer of ex-drummer of Electric Light Orchestra and founder member of The Move. Bev's agreed to have a chat one day. Matt Parrish, who is the director of chairman of the Liverpool Football Club Foundation. And we're going to be talking about some of the wellness and well-being stuff that they look after. And someone you've never heard of at all, who I met on BSB as well, called Libby Dean. And Libby Dean does the most amazing job. She does this thing called visual notes. She goes into meetings, and she's an artist, and she either paints or something, the actual conversation they're having, so that when the meeting is finished, they can look at her work and go, oh yeah, I remember that, and I remember that, and instead of having a sheet of notes, it's all visual stuff. It's fantastic. I hadn't heard of that before. And so we had a little chat the other day, and we were talking about, it's kind of performance art. It's brilliant, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to that chat as well. But yeah, and of course with Nick Barnby, I'll be having a chat with him because he's from Kingston upon Hull, and that's our Yorkshire connection for today. So adios, Halifax. And thanks once again, David Onigbanjo. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Thanks, Ged.